Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Renu Joshi. I am an OBGYN and a robotic surgeon by profession. And I also run a group of South Asian physicians called SAWPNA, which is over 5,000 female physicians strong in the United States and Canada. Today, I am here to talk about the ordeals that the foreign medical grad physicians are facing in United States. As we all know, we are in the middle of a pandemic caused by COVID-19. And we also know that somewhere between 20 to 25% of physicians in North America taking care of patients are foreign medical grads. And they are facing a huge problem as of right now. Physicians that are taking care of COVID patients are at risk of facing deportation. They are at risk of losing their lives. Their families are at risk of deportation if a physician loses their life, and are at risk of losing, health insurance, which is a weird situation that we're facing. So hence we decided to have a talk with two eminent PAHA physicians. And as we know, PAHA stands for Physicians of North American Healthcare Access. And joining me today, thank you so much for your time and accepting graciously, are two of their PAHA board members. So one is Dr. Smitha Khurra. She is an MD in family practice medicine from Marion, Iowa. She is also certified in hyperbaric and wound therapy, and she's a board member of PAHA, as I mentioned. Joining me also today is Dr. Paavani Atluri, who is also an MD physician and FACP, works as an internist or a full-time hospitalist. And is also interested in addiction medicine. I think you've already completed addiction medicine, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I'm going to finish it by the end of the year.
By the end of the year, so you're in the middle of it. And she is one of the executive members of the PAHA group. So, without much further ado, I would like to start my questions to you wonderful physicians. So my first question is to you, Dr. Khurra. What is PAHA and what are its goals and ambitions?
Hello, everybody. Nice to join you all. So yes, PAHA is, we named it PAHA because it's, for the rural healthcare access in US, Physicians for American Healthcare Access, as most of our physicians are working in underserved areas. So we are an advocacy group. We are a nonprofit advocacy group. We formed officially in April 2019, about a year ago. We have, a couple of years ago, 2018. So since then, we have been working to solve healthcare problems for, green card for physicians. So many of our physicians are in backlog, and for the last 10 years, and we have still not been able to get our green cards. And we are trying to get green cards for all the physicians. And we have been working on this arena for the last couple of years. So yes.
Thank you so much. My next question to you, Dr. Atluri, what have been the immigration solutions so far? Are there any bills out there? What has been going on in the advocacy zone?
Actually, I just want to thank you first, Renu, for even providing us the platform for discussing this important issue. Thank you. And so the organization was actually registered officially in April of 2018, but even before that, say an year or two, the board members have actually been working in the background to work on solutions, and they have gone through multiple healthcare bills that kind of fit the picture and would actually help us with the immigration burdens. And they've been doing some grassroots level advocacy, and Conrad 30 bill was the one that actually has already a good structure, and it was initially introduced in 1994, and every about 10 years it gets amended. and it was due for an amendment for quite some time, because the last time it was amended was sometime in 2003. So they picked that bill and worked with Senator Amy Klobuchar's office, and that's how the S948 it was born and introduced on the 28th of March of 2019. Currently, its status is it's referred to the Judiciary Committee in the Senate, and the mirror bill for S948 is HR 2895, and that was introduced by House Representative Bradley Schneider on the 22nd of May of 2019, and it's again referred to the subcommittee on Immigration and the Citizenship. Recently, in light of the pandemic, there was one more Senate and House bill that were introduced, the S3599, which is also called as Healthcare Workforce Resilience Act, was introduced by Senator Perdue, Durbin, Coons, and Young on the 5th of May of 2020. And the House mirror bill is actually HR 6788, and that was introduced by Representative Bradley Schneider, same representative who actually introduced 2895, and it was introduced along with Representatives Cole, Finkenauer, and Bacon on the 8th of May of 2020. And now all the bills are actually in the Judiciary Committee.
I see. That is very, very valid information. Thank you so much for packing it all in one question, within one answer. That was impressive. So my question is to you, Dr. Khurra. Since we're talking about all these bills, can you give me a little bit more information on the bill S948? What is the support we're getting? What are the senators involved? The number, just a little bit more information. What's the House companion? So on and so forth. So if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about that.
Sure. Yes. S948 is one of our pioneer kind of bills, I would say. See, what happened was when we started advocacy, we had to find a channel or find a medium to have our problems addressed. And the Conrad bill was already in place, and it has been there since, like Paavani said, since 1994. And since then, at that time, it was a bill that was proposed, and it has been, it started in the Midwest, in North Dakota. And since then, it kind of had a lot of Midwest bipartisan support, and Senator Grassley was one of the main members on that bill, and it kind of moved on with multiple changes over the years, with employment protections and with protections for physicians at their workspace, and a lot of limitations that kind of will protect us. So as time went on, there was more proposals that came out, and in 2013 there was more language added to get us green cards in that bill. And at that time, Senator Grassley struck all the language that we actually have in the S498 now, and that was taken out. And then at that time, the attorney group, ILA, was very had a very keen, important role, and they advocated for us for a long time. And obviously, we did not have a momentum because it did not have a voice. It did not have the physician's voice and the patient's voice, and the impact that it would usually make about the reality in the ground. So when we started the process, S498 was already having some structure, and for a whole year we really worked on it, and we actually reached out to all the senators, and it got introduced eventually with the language that it has right now in March 2019, about a year ago, with Amy Klobuchar kind of leading the effort. There was some negotiations and there was some back and forth, and Senator Grassley eventually did not get on the bill, but since then we have succeeded in advocating for the bill significantly, and 17 co-sponsors in the Senate right now, and it is a big effort, big success. 17 Senate co-sponsors with a lot of Republicans too on there, so it's bipartisan right now. So yeah, this bill actually is a amendment or a improvement on the Conrad bill that we already have, and it's about how if you work in an underserved area for 5 years, you are able to get apply for a green card right away. So it is
for the J1 visa holders, right?
It is for the J1 visa holders, but actually, it actually is for H1 visa holders too. If they not, so if they work in an underserved area, even though they are not on J1, if they work in one of the HPSA areas which qualify for being underserved, it is still going to qualify a lot of doctors. So we found that many of the doctors did not even realize that they would qualify under this bill. It actually does. So a majority, about 80% of the physician population would benefit from this particular bill. And the sister bill, again, since then has had a lot of support, and now it has 106 House co-sponsors.
That's amazing. 106. That's huge.
Yes. And also it has protections for physician families too. So in case a physician has a health issue or if something happens, the physician families do not get deported, and their kids have protections too in this particular bill. So there is a lot of other language that is included in this bill right now. So
we were talking about access to healthcare insurance, so on and so forth. So this does definitely help in that direction. Very nice. Thank you so much. And my next question is for Dr. Atluri. Can you share more details on the bill S3599? What is that all about? And same questions. So how much support do we have for the bill, so on and so forth?
Right. So S3599, again, is also called as Healthcare Workforce Resilience Act, was introduced in light of the pandemic to support the healthcare workforce. Just to give a brief introduction on the stats too, about 25% of the current existing physician workforce is formed by the international medical graduates. And if you actually look at the medically underserved areas, close to 45.5% physician workforce is actually based and formed by the international medical graduates. And if it comes to, when you come to the subspecialties, and most of them actually are, again, international medical graduates who are US trained. So it's a significant number when it comes to medically underserved areas.
Absolutely.
So and so the S3599 was introduced by, the main sponsor is Senator Perdue, who's a Republican, but it's actually introduced as a bipartisan bill by Senators Perdue, Durbin, Young, and Coons. And so I'm just going to give you some bullet points just so it's easier to understand. And so if the bill passes, 15,000 visas will be given to the physicians, and 25,000 visas will be given to the nurses. And this bill actually recaptures all the unused employment-based green cards, and the 40,000 will be captured from that. And anybody can actually petition for this immigrant visa, also called as a green card, before the date that is 90 days after the end of the declared natural emergency related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it does actually have a term. So it's like 90 days after the national emergency is actually called off. And the total number of the unused employment-based immigrant visas are actually captured between the years of 1992 to 2020. So that's about good 28 years. And if you see, and it's easy to recapture 40,000 visas, even though it's just employment-based immigration visas. The family members can also accompany the primary beneficiary who's applying for the visa, and that does not count against the 40,000 visas that were initially provided. And it's actually it's exempt from pre-country limitations, and the beneficiary should also not displace an American healthcare worker is one of the clause. But most of the physicians that we have right now do have approved immigration petitions that are I-140s. And for us to get, if you are going through a perm-based application, you have to actually prove that you're not displacing an American healthcare worker to get that job. So it kind of just is to prove that, we are not actually affecting the economy, or we are not displacing the American healthcare worker. We're just, a part of this fabric, and we are just interwoven, and it's just that we are finally getting the recognition. And so far, the main co-sponsors for the bill have been actively championing, and they've actually presented this on the Senate floor. Also, they've picked two of the PAHA physicians, and Senator Durbin, and both are actually from Illinois, and have actually presented them. and why it's actually important in light of the pandemic, because it immensely helps us expand the workforce, because we are not limited by geographical radius anymore. And so far we have 31 co-sponsors. We do actually have Senator Patty Murray who agreed to co-sponsor. So she's not on the, included in the number as of yet, only because it's not on the government website. But so far we have 32 co-sponsors as of today.
That's fantastic.
And the House bill is 6788, and we have so far 47 co-sponsors. Again, it's relatively new. It was only introduced on the 9th of May of 2020. So I think getting 47 co-sponsors is definitely huge. And both these bills are very complementary. So the way we see it is S948 is a long-term solution. It's a permanent solution, establishes a permanent pathway. So we don't have to do this over and over again with the next pandemic or a second wave.
Correct.
While S3599 is just a short-term relief.
Absolutely. And I think it is very important for everyone to understand that currently we are facing a physician deficit in this country. So we should take all the help we can get. And little learning point for the rest of us who are not facing visa issues. The whole point in me doing this was for, yes, people that are facing visa issues are of course going to be involved and in the forefront, but people like me who are not in that situation still need to understand that this is in the best interest of the country, because we are in desperate needs of medical health, healthcare help. We need physicians, we need nurses, we need healthcare personnel. As of right now, we are facing a deficit, and we're noticing it in the hospital around us. So as citizens, it is our job to ensure our, the best healthcare that we can get for ourselves. So it is important for us to be vocal about this and to talk about this and to support the physicians who are serving us, to make sure that we're well taken care of. So that was the whole point in doing this, so that everyone wakes up and does something about it. So going back to
if you don't mind me just adding, so there is actually a number to that deficit too. According to AAMC, there's going to be a deficit of close to 120,000 physicians by the year 2032. So it's a significant number.
Yes. And as we know, one physician serves thousands of people. So look at the number of people that will lose healthcare or access to healthcare, right? If we are talking about over 100,000 physicians, we're looking at close to 1 million population facing.
One more stat to add to that is every physician actually supports 14 jobs.
Yes. Very true. That is a very important, great point.
Yeah.
14 jobs may also end up being an understatement. If you look at a hospital and look at the number of administrators we support, 14. So anyways, great points, honestly. Question to you, let's see, Dr. Khurra, what is the advocacy in DC and other states so far?
Okay, well, that's a big ordeal. We have done a huge movement since this all started a couple of years ago. We have done individual meetings and we have done telephone conferences. We have called Senate offices and we have met them, in person, locally in the states. Many of our colleagues and kind of go together or in person. And also we have gone to DC, in little groups and then in big groups. And then we had 2 huge legislative days we actually organized, and we had a lot of huge attendance. And that was in August and then in October, I think, last year. And that was a grand success. And we had, we met, hundreds of offices in DC, and everybody paid attention. They lent their ear. They understood our problems. Educating was a big deal because nobody had any sense of what a visa meant or what a doctor facing a visa problem meant. So since then we have done small advocacy groups with just a few states, even in DC. Now, since the pandemic has started, it is going on in Zoom and online on phones. But until recently, we have done a lot of advocacy. Now, advocacy means not just talking. Advocacy means, a lot of informing, having all the information, educating, and also not being shy about coming out and explaining to these people about what kind of problems we face. Because as physicians, we are kind of, we're set to a different norm, we're set to a different standard. We kind of feel like we are beyond any issues, and we kind of swallow all those issues and kind of go about our work because we don't have time to think about it. And then, knowing or not knowing, we avoid a lot of things in our lives right now on being on a visa. We don't go out to visit our family as frequent as we should be visiting. We miss important health events because, anybody's sick that needs our help in India, they don't get to see us because if we go, we are going to be leaving our patients behind, maybe for a month, maybe for 2 months. If we have a query, it can be 3 months. And we have had doctors who had done that, And again, somebody dies in our family, we can't go and just do it because, I mean, we are keeping our colleagues in difficulty, and we are making our patients wait for us for months. And all the shortage that we already have here already has been pushing us to our brim, evening and every day. We go through that every single day. And taking time to talk to your colleagues, talk to your administrators, talk to the senators, talk to the all the people that you want to be talking to get your voice heard, that doesn't happen because you have so much to kind of push through. So our group has done a wonderful job trying to get this to our attention, take extra time and take extra time to educate everybody, and take time to go to DC and explain to all those people. That is how we ended up here. We started with 0, and we are here because of all the time and hours and hours and hours of our lives that we put through in this. So
no, very good point. I mean, really, the amount physicians are busy. Everyone puts in somewhere between 60 to 120 hours a week, and then on top of that, we're expected to, speak up for ourselves. And you're absolutely right. We always are taught from early age, suck it up, buttercup, and move on. You have no time to complain. And you're not allowed to complain as a physician. That's just how the system works for us. So it does take time, you're right, to bring them out of their shell and speak up for themselves. We're not taught how to do that. And that's a big learning point. Well taken.
One more thing to add, because in the South Asian group, I feel comfortable saying this because, we're, as the Asian population in general, I feel like we have been, I don't know, told to be silent or told to be, I mean, you don't speak up, you don't talk, you don't speak loud, you don't say it out, because there is so much social norms that go behind all this.
Yeah.
So I think the not speaking out has to get toll on us, and I think we need to speak out now.
Very, very true. Very well said. And I completely agree. The model minority, but where no one hears what ordeals we're facing. And this is also mental wellness problem, right? You cannot see your family. You cannot deal with some horrific situations in your family because you're here and you're taking care of patients here. So that was a really well said point. So my next question is for Dr. Atluri. What is the organizational support so far?
So believe it or not, most of the major organizations that we have are actually supporting all the bills. So again, when they actually extend the support, they usually extend it for S948 and its mirror bill HR 2895 and the 3599 along with the 6788. So far we have ACP, American Hospital Association, American Medical Association, AASP, Society of Hospital Medicine, American Association of Pediatrics, American Psychiatric Association, Society of Critical Care Medicine, Society of General Internal Medicine, ASN, NKF, Catholic Health Association. So far, I think ballpark we have about 22 organizations, major organizations that are actually supporting the bills, and some of the states have actually also extended the courtesy of endorsing these bills, especially the S3599 in light of the pandemic, and like Oklahoma, Iowa, Kentucky, Washington, Missouri, Florida, Michigan, Illinois, Kansas, Wyoming. One is going to come from Oregon soon too. So it's I'm from Oregon, so I have to brag about it. So, yeah, so it's just that everybody is identifying, and I think the pandemic has magnified the healthcare deficit that we are already in, and kind of understanding how much the healthcare is actually dependent on all these international medical graduates. Unfortunately, like I said, it's because of the processing times, we are actually all stuck in this green card backlog. But otherwise, we would have, like any other country, we would have had our green cards by now.
And the green card backlog currently is 15 to 20 years. Did I get that right?
No.
Is it more?
Just times 4.
I know we're laughing, but this is horrible. This is
yes.
Right.
So for someone who lives here, gives their lives for this country, they're not even guaranteed.
No.
Their family is not guaranteed a future, and that's terribly sad. That is extremely sad and devastating. I think it's very easy to say, all right, displace your family. It's very difficult to do that, What about, all right, so this one's for Dr. Khurra. This is also a personal question, right? Because although this is not affecting me, I would like to participate. How do I do that? And how do all the other colleagues who are in the same situation as me, or not just even physician colleagues? I think this should extend to all citizens of this country, because we are facing that deficit. It's our healthcare that is pertinent, and as citizens, we should speak up. So what do you think we can do to help? How can we participate in the advocacy?
That's the very important thing, and understanding the depth of the problem and knowing the importance of how serious it is the first step. And the next step would be definitely talking about it. Now anybody, like it can be the patients, it can be the citizens, it can be the physicians who are facing the problem, calling your Senate offices, calling your congressman offices, and also call, for physicians, you call your state medical boards, your medical societies, being active in your medical societies and joining them, and participating in your meetings and explaining to them the problems, and calling, telling them what you face and what happens if you don't get this to happen. And then basically explaining the situation, calling, talking does help quite a bit. And also gaining, if you can get letters from your patients, or if you can get support letters from your administration or your team, and have maybe a couple nurses or your administrators or your patients, even if they are wanting to, and a group of your colleagues who are facing the situation, go in and meet a senator or meet a congressman and explain them what is going on from multiple aspects of everybody's perspective. That makes a huge impact, that makes a huge difference in understanding the problem. And yes, and that is what we did, and that is how we are here, gaining all the support that we have gained. We are still a ways out from making this a reality. We are hoping this will be a reality, but I mean, that is what will lead to that to happen. So, if your colleagues who are facing this problem, and you have a citizenship and you have a green card, kind of asking them, talking to them, saying, hey, I see that, PAHA is working with this, regarding this problem. Are you a part of PAHA? Can I help you? I mean, is there something I can do? We have done some online campaigns of letters, and we have done, some, what is it called? Paavani, you should help me. We have done all these campaigns recently with the signing that we did and the letters that were sent to all the
did a lot of petitions. We have signed a lot of those petitions, I remember.
Yeah, Master Link. It's like more like Voter Voice. It's another platform that actually is able to send letters to.
The letters and everything help, but a phone call makes a huge impact. I would say making phone calls has made a huge difference, and they do listen to us. So
you feel right making phone calls. See, I did not know that. That's a good point. Phone calls.
It feels like when you make a phone call, you took the extra step of breaking the barrier and wanting to really speak out. Letters, yes, are important, but making a phone call and explaining, makes a huge difference. And these Senate office, the staffers do make a notes of everything, and they do actually, give their senators that list, and we hear back on this, so we know that it makes a big difference.
Okay, so that's a very good learning point for the rest of us, is to make that effort and actually go ahead with the phone call. So I would highly recommend sharing the phone numbers when we're doing the next petition. I think that will certainly be helpful, and we can we'll be happy to post saying, please try to make that extra effort for the phone call, because that seems to work better.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll be more than happy to support these petitions and seek out for the rest of our colleagues. That's the least we can do. But I think it's also pertinent that everyone else does it as well. The more voices that speak up, the more voices get, the squeaky wheel gets its oil. So more of us need to just be vocal about this.
And one more thing, Renu, before you go to the next one. So if anybody is also a member of the medical society or on the board of any hospital association, that makes a huge difference. So talking to the board and making it a big deal, making sure that this problem is, gets the attention and limelight it needs, makes a big difference, because they do have agendas. They do have local agendas, a state agenda, and a national agenda. Usually that's how every organization runs. And they do have lobbyists, and they do have political strategists that they work on these issues. And they always need some problems to work on. They always want some problems to work on, So, giving a problem into their hands and making sure that it gets the attention it needs makes a difference. And it has made a difference.
And I think a lot of hospital organizations are also nonprofits. So if they like to work, you're absolutely right. They have to create an agenda to help the community, to help the minorities in the community. And I think this works really well in all those aspects, because they are serving their own physicians. As we said, I think the number for hospitalists and internists in this country is definitely 25% and up. So for the hospital systems to back up their own physicians, I think is in its best interest. At the same time, it is in the best interest of the community that the system is serving, and it's working towards the greater good of the minority. So it hits all the salient points per se. So again, great suggestion for us to be involved in that direction. So my last question would be, since we know each other from Facebook groups, this is for Dr. Atluri. What are the Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups that are involved, and what do you recommend, which ones to join? And I know we definitely are one of them, where SAWPNA is a big supporter of this movement, but are there any others that you would recommend?
Actually, a group was formed in November of 2017. It's actually called Indians Stuck in Green Card Backlog. It's actually a big group. It has about like 4,000, I think, close to 4,200 physicians in it. But the problem is, yes, it's a good number, but I think only a fraction of them are really working towards this, right? And I think we all have a tendency, we all have inertia to come out of it. We have all been there. But even when the time is right, we still try to sit back and try to bank on others' efforts. So all I would say is, yes, be a part of the group, but also make some noise while you're there and join the effort, right? So, and so that's one of the bigger groups. And we actually do have a Facebook page for Physicians for American Healthcare Access.
Okay.
It's so far a page for now that we actually created, because we have a website. It's www.paha.us, and if you actually go there,
share that link when we post this, to different places.
Right. And actually, one of our physicians had really worked hard on it with the website team to build that too. And so you can find everything that you need there: the support letters, the advocacy, what's been done so far, personal stories, FAQs, what do we do with the funds, because memberships are also very important. We do have 2 political strategies working for PAHA at this time. And the money that we pull from the membership dues and also the donations is the money that we actually use towards it. again, we are more interested in advocacy, but definitely at some point we still need that fiscal support too, to actually, for the organization to thrive. And we do have a state WhatsApp group. So all the states, most of the states, maybe the Vermont one did not really have until recently. We created one there too now. So we have WhatsApp groups for every state. So anybody who's interested to join a state WhatsApp group, just send us your name, phone number, specialty, and state. And it's only because up until recently, I would say 3 or 4 months ago, the state links were actually available for everybody to just join by, using the link. The problem was some of the non-physicians have also been in the groups, and we do share, some sensitive information that we don't want to get it out of the group. And that's why we have actually revoked all the state links so far to join. So if you're interested to join, you can actually, send a message to myself, Smitha, Deepa Vasireddy, or Deepika Gupta, and we'll be happy to add you to the state group that you're interested in. Yeah, and so far it's only limited to only physicians at this time. There have been some requests about actually adding dentists too, but we are not actually considering that at this time because the bills are more specific for the physicians only. And so the website would usually, give you the information that you would need. But if you do have any questions, we are all here to, help you. We were all at a point where we had our own inertias, but we were able to, overcome that and be here. And it's an important issue. So if we don't advocate for ourselves, who else will?
That's wonderful. Well, I think this was great information. I learned a lot today. So thank you for, spending some valuable time. And I know this is a weekend, so it really means a lot to me that you had a discussion regarding the issues that our visa candidate physicians are facing in this country. I think it was very important for us to speak up, raise awareness, and hopefully this translates into more action from our colleagues. I hope you get as much support as possible, and you know that we're always here to, speak up for you. So I really appreciate you joining me today, Dr. Khurra and Dr. Atluri, for this talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much too. It was a pleasure to be here, and thanks for providing us this stage to get this word spread out more.
That's the least, honestly, that's the least I could do. You all are doing wonderful work, and our hope and our goal is to support you all the way. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Renu.
Okay. Bye.